Right now, while you scroll TikTok, a packet of data leaves your phone. It carries your face geometry, your voice print, your precise location, the rhythm of how your fingers move across the screen. Every 15 minutes, automatically, without asking. And it travels to servers in Beijing, not to TikTok's US team, not to some neutral data center, to the People's Republic of China, a government that has passed laws requiring every Chinese company to hand over any data they collect to any government official who asks at any time for any reason. You didn't agree to this, or rather, you did. Page 47 of the Terms of Service, the page nobody reads. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is not an opinion. It is documented, it is verified. And it involves over 1 billion people, including you, your children, and everyone you know. Most people who hear TikTok in China think, okay, they see my dances, my lip syncs, whatever. Big deal. That is exactly what ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent company, wants you to think. Because the data story is not about your videos. It was never about your videos. It's about something that took me weeks to fully understand. Something that cybersecurity researchers, US senators, former TikTok employees, and internal company documents have all confirmed, independently, from completely different directions. TikTok is not an entertainment app. It is a biometric data harvesting operation that is also, coincidentally, very good at keeping you entertained. And the reason this matters, the reason this is different from any other privacy story you've heard, is because of what biometric data actually is. And what a foreign government can do with it. We'll get there. But first, let me show you something that happened in a US Senate hearing room that most people never saw. In September 2022, a cybersecurity firm called Internet 2.0 published a technical analysis of TikTok's source code. They reverse engineered the app, looked inside its actual programming, and documented what they found. TikTok was collecting device identifiers, network information, and location data far beyond what any social media app needs to function. It was also collecting data on every other app installed on your phone. Not just what apps you have, but how you use them, when you open them, how long you stay. That same month, BuzzFeed News published a bombshell report based on leaked internal TikTok audio. 80 recordings from internal company meetings. In those recordings, TikTok engineers and executives in the United States refer to a team in Beijing they called the Master, a team that had access to all US user data. One employee said plainly, "Everything is seen in China. Not some data, not aggregate data, everything." Then came the Senate hearing. Senator Marsha Blackburn asked TikTok CEO Shouzu Chu one simple question. Can employees in China access US user data? He could not give a straight answer. He said, "It's a complex situation." He said, "We're working on it." He said, "Project Texas will solve this." Project Texas was TikTok's plan to store US user data on American servers, managed by Oracle. It was announced in 2022. It was supposed to be complete by 2023. As of the Senate hearings in 2024, it was still not finished. And even the Oracle partnership, cybersecurity experts pointed out, does not prevent Beijing from accessing data through the app's underlying code. The data was flowing, the pipeline was open, and nobody in charge of TikTok seemed willing to close it. Now let's talk about what biometric data actually means. Because this word gets thrown around and most people don't understand why it is so uniquely dangerous. Biometric data is data about your body. Your face, not just a photo of it, but the precise mathematical geometry of your facial structure. The distance between your eyes, the shape of your jawline, the proportions of your features. This is called a facial signature. It is as unique as a fingerprint, and it cannot be changed, ever. If a database of your facial signatures is compromised or stolen, you cannot get a new face. TikTok collects facial geometry data. This is documented in their privacy policy. Buried in legal language, but it is there. They state they may collect biometric identifiers and biometric information as defined under US law, including face prints and voice prints. Face prints, voice prints, from over 1 billion users, with faces, voices, and behavioral patterns logged continuously. Now ask yourself, what can a government do with the facial signatures of 1 billion people? They can build the most comprehensive facial recognition database in human history. They can train AI surveillance systems on faces from every country on Earth. They can identify individuals in CCTV footage from any city in the world, including US military personnel, intelligence officers, government employees, and their family members, all of whom use TikTok. In 2019, US military branches began banning TikTok on government devices. The reason given was national security. The Army, the Navy, the Marines all issued advisories. The Department of Homeland Security followed. In 2023, over 30 US states banned TikTok on government devices. The European Union banned it on all EU institutions' devices. These are not conspiracy theorists. These are the people who receive classified intelligence briefings. And what they know made them remove TikTok immediately. What do they know that you don't? Let's go deeper. Let me make this about your life, your family, right now. If you have children, and 32% of TikTok's US user base is under 14 years old, their facial signatures are being collected, their voice prints are being stored. Their behavioral patterns, how they respond to content, what makes them stop scrolling, what makes them anxious, what makes them feel good, are being mapped, modeled, and archived. Your child did not consent to this. They cannot consent to this. They are minors. And yet their most intimate biological identifiers are being held right now in a database connected to a foreign government. But let's say you don't have children. Let's say it's just you. You use TikTok. You have for years. In that time, TikTok has built a behavioral profile on you that is unlike anything any US company holds. It knows not just what you watch, but how your emotional responses change over time. It knows what content makes you angry, what makes you vulnerable, what makes you click without thinking. This is called a psychological operations profile, and in the wrong hands, in the hands of a state intelligence apparatus, it is a tool for manipulation at a scale that has never existed before in human history. Here is what that means practically. The same technology that makes TikTok's algorithm feel like it reads your mind is also a map of exactly how to change your mind, how to shift your political views, how to make you distrust institutions, how to make you feel isolated, anxious, and susceptible to narratives that serve a foreign government's interests. This is not speculation. The US Department of Defense has published threat assessments describing this exact capability. And every day the app runs, the profile gets sharper. Let me explain exactly how TikTok's data collection works. Technically, in plain language, when you open TikTok, the app begins a series of background processes that run continuously. The first is device fingerprinting. TikTok's SDK, its software development kit, collects your device ID, your SIM serial number, your MAC address, your IMEI number, your Wi-Fi network name and BSSID, and your GPS coordinates. This alone creates a unique identifier for your physical device that is essentially permanent. The second process is behavioral telemetry. Every action you take is logged, not just what you do, but how you do it, the speed of your scrolls, the angle of your swipes, how long your finger pauses before tapping, how many times you rewatch the first 3 seconds of a video. These micro-behavioral signals are used to build what data scientists call a behavioral fingerprint, a pattern of interaction that is as unique as a physical fingerprint. The third process is content analysis. TikTok's camera, if you use any camera feature, filters, or even if the app is simply open in the background with camera permission, can perform real-time facial analysis. This is how filters track your face. But the same technology captures your facial geometry data, which is transmitted to servers and stored. The fourth process is the data transmission schedule. Internal analysis by cybersecurity researchers, including those at Citizen Lab and Internet 2.0, found that TikTok's app makes data transmissions to servers registered to ByteDance at regular intervals, regardless of whether you are actively using the app. These transmissions happen in the background. They're compressed and encrypted, making them difficult to inspect, but the traffic patterns are visible and have been documented. The fifth process, and this is the one that most people miss, is cross-app data harvesting. TikTok's SDK requests permission to see what other apps you have installed and when you use them. This means TikTok can build a profile that includes your banking app usage, your health app data, your messaging patterns, your dating app behavior, not the content of those apps, but the behavioral signatures that surround them. Put all 5 of these together, you have a system that collects your face, your voice, your precise location, your device identity, your behavioral fingerprint, your psychological response patterns, and your broader app ecosystem, and transmits all of it on a regular automated schedule to servers controlled by a company legally obligated to share everything with the Chinese government. This is not a theory. This is the architecture of the app you have on your phone. Now, I want to tell you about 5 things that almost never appear in mainstream news coverage of TikTok. 5 risks that exist right now in the gap between what's publicly discussed and what is actually happening. Hidden risk number 1, the algorithm as a geopolitical weapon. Research by Australian cybersecurity firm StratSec compared content moderation between TikTok and its Chinese domestic equivalent, Douyin. They found that TikTok suppressed content about Tiananmen Square, Tibetan independence, Falun Gong, and Taiwan's sovereignty in ways consistent with Chinese government censorship guidelines. At the same time, content promoting certain political narratives, distrust of Western governments, skepticism of mainstream media, social division, was amplified. This is not an accident. It is alignment between the algorithm and state interests. Hidden risk number 2, targeting of specific individuals. With a database of biometric and behavioral data from 1 billion users, a state intelligence operation can use TikTok's platform to identify and target specific individuals for influence operations. Imagine being able to look at someone's behavioral profile and know exactly what kind of content will shift their political views, damage their mental health, or make them distrust specific institutions, and then serve that content to them directly, invisibly, through an algorithm they trust. Hidden risk number 3, the children's data crisis. In 2023, the FTC referred TikTok to the Department of Justice for violating children's privacy laws, specifically COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. TikTok was found to be collecting data from children under 13 without parental consent. The investigation found that even after children's accounts were supposedly deleted, their data remained in TikTok's systems. The facial and behavioral data of minors, permanently stored, permanently accessible. Hidden risk number 4, the employee access problem. Even if TikTok moves US data to Oracle servers, the app's underlying code, written and maintained largely by engineers in Beijing, still runs on every user's device. Code can be updated at any time through the app's update mechanism. A software update can change what data is collected, how it is transmitted, and where it goes, silently, overnight, without any regulatory review. The pipeline is not a physical pipe. It is software, and software can be changed. Hidden risk number 5, the permanent biometric archive. Unlike passwords, credit card numbers, or even your address, biometric data cannot be changed. The facial signature TikTok has stored for you today will still be your face in 40 years. Once that data exists in a foreign government's database, it exists forever. There is no breach response. There is no, we'll issue you a new face. Whatever is built using your biometric data in the future, facial recognition systems, deepfake generation, identity spoofing, your face is already inside that system, waiting. I want to stop here and acknowledge something. This is a lot. And I understand that some of you are watching this while you have TikTok open in another tab. Maybe you've been watching it on your phone while this video plays. Maybe your kids are on it right now in the next room. I am not here to make you feel stupid. I'm not here to make you feel guilty. Every single person watching this video was handed this app without any of this information. The design of the onboarding process, the terms of service, the permission requests, all of it was engineered to maximize adoption and minimize conscious consent. You were not careless. You were targeted by one of the most sophisticated product teams on Earth, backed by the resources of a technology superpower, optimized to the millisecond to keep you scrolling before you had any idea what you were agreeing to. But now you know. And knowing changes everything. The rest of this video is not about fear. It is about what you actually do, specifically step by step, to reduce your exposure, protect your children, and take back control over the most intimate data you possess, your face, your behavior, your psychological profile. Let's go. Step 1, delete TikTok from your device. I know this sounds obvious, but I want to be clear about what deleting the app actually does and does not do. Deleting the app stops future data collection. It does not delete the data TikTok already holds. For that, you need to submit a data deletion request through TikTok's privacy portal at tiktok.com, legal privacy settings. Go there, submit the request. Under GDPR in Europe and CCPA in California, they are legally required to respond. In other regions, they may not comply fully, but the request creates a legal paper trail. Step 2, if you or your children cannot stop using TikTok immediately, change the permissions right now. Go to your phone settings, find TikTok, and revoke every permission that is not essential to the core function. Camera, revoke. Microphone, revoke. Location, revoke entirely, do not set to while using. Contacts, revoke. Other apps visibility, revoke. Revoking permissions does not make TikTok completely safe, but it dramatically reduces the biometric and location data the app can collect. Step 3, for parents. Create a separate device for children that does not have TikTok installed, and enable parental controls that prevent installation of unapproved apps. If your child is under 13, TikTok is illegal for them to use under COPPA. And as a parent, you have the right to demand deletion of their data by submitting a request through TikTok's parent and guardian portal. Step 4, switch to alternatives with transparent data practices for short-form video. YouTube Shorts is operated by a U.S. company under U.S. law with established regulatory oversight. Instagram Reels is operated by Meta, which has its own serious privacy issues, but is subject to FTC oversight and GDPR compliance in a way that TikTok currently is not. Neither of these is perfect, but neither of them has a documented pipeline to a foreign government's intelligence apparatus. Step 5, use a privacy-focused DNS on your home network. Services like NextDNS or Pi-hole allow you to block data transmissions from apps at the network level before they leave your router. This means that even if TikTok is still installed on a device in your home, its background data transmissions can be blocked or logged. This is a more technical step, But NextDNS has a straightforward setup guide that works for non-technical users. Step 6. Advocate. Contact your elected representative. The US passed a law in 2024 requiring ByteDance to divest TikTok or face a ban, but the legal battles are ongoing and the outcome is not certain. Public pressure matters. Data protection legislation that covers biometric data is still inadequate in most countries. The gap between what companies are allowed to collect and what they should be allowed to collect is a policy gap. And policy gaps are closed by citizens who demand it. Step 7. Talk to people around you. Share this video. The most powerful protection against mass data harvesting is mass awareness. The surveillance economy depends on scale. Billions of unaware users generating unaware data. Every person who watches this video and makes one change reduces the size of the dataset. And a smaller dataset is a less powerful weapon. Let's come back to where we started. Every 15 minutes, automatically, a packet of data, your face, your voice, your location, your behavior, traveling to Beijing. We've spent this video unpacking what that means, and I hope by now it means something very different to you than it did when you clicked play. But I want to end on something bigger than TikTok, because TikTok is not the last app that will be built this way. It is the first one that got caught. The model? Harvest biometric data at scale, use entertainment as the delivery mechanism, keep the data pipeline invisible in the terms of service. This model works. It works so well that it will be replicated. It is being replicated right now by apps you haven't heard of yet, built by teams and countries with governments that have interests that do not align with yours. The question is not whether this will happen again. The question is whether you will recognize it the next time. And recognition is hard. It is hard because these apps are genuinely enjoyable. They are designed by the best product engineers on Earth to be maximally pleasurable. Pleasure is not a neutral force. It clouds judgment, suppresses caution, and makes consent feel like a formality. The price of 15 minutes of entertainment, repeated hundreds of times a day across 1 billion people, is the largest voluntary transfer of biometric intelligence in the history of our species. No war required. No invasion, no force. Just a scroll. Think about that the next time your thumb moves before your brain does.